talk to them and ask them questions. So we'll have Lisa go first. Hello.
Yes, my name's Lisa Jones, and I'm running for school board. Oh, you can't hear me? Okay. First of all, I'd like to thank you for allowing me to come to talk to you, share my experience and my position, why I choose to run for school board. I am a teacher with the Pittsburgh Public Schools. I've worked at Carrick for 15 years. I'm a chemistry teacher, so I bring with me the classroom experience. And that's something I feel that many board members lack. So when they pass policies and make policies, I think they lack that understanding of how it would impact the classroom and student learning. Okay. As a teacher, or in my career at Carrick, I've also was the assistant track and field coach for 8 years. I also was the advisor for the Students Against Destructive Decisions for 5 years. And while I was the advisor there, I worked closely with MAD, with the Mothers Against Drunk Driving, and brought to the district the drunk driving, or the simulator that, the car that simulated drunk driving. So it gave the students an opportunity to drive a car while under the influence, to give them an idea what it felt like. I just didn't bring that to Carrick High School, but I brought it to all the high schools in the district. Gave all the students the opportunity to experience that. And that was a wonderful day with the students. I think that really went off well and drove home the seriousness of driving while under the influence. I also received accommodations for public safety from the Pittsburgh Public Schools Police. I also received my certification in conflict mediation, where I bring students who are having problems dealing with one another and help them resolve the problems so that they leave feeling a little bit better about themselves and their relationship with the other student they were having problems with. What I hope to bring to the board and accomplish while on the board, and excuse me if I get out my little list so I remember everything. Right now, like Chelsea Wagner has spoken about and Fitzgerald has spoken about, we're right now in a financial crisis. They've talked about the budget cut from the state. And this is pretty serious for the education because we're losing a lot of money. Not just our district, but all districts in the state. From what I understand, when I've gone to a board meeting, it was put on the table by the superintendent to put forth a referendum in November where you would vote to raise taxes on your property. I don't know about you, but right now I feel straddled as it is with all the taxes and other things. I feel before we go to the public and ask for additional funds, that perhaps we look at our spending, see how the money is being spent, account for everything, see where we can make the cuts. From what I understand, we're very top-heavy in central office. There's a lot of people who are doing the same, hold the same position or doing the same things. There's duplication, and they're getting paid well over $100,000. I believe there's places that we could start before we go to the taxpayers and ask for help. Also, I would like to direct the money to the classrooms where it would impact the student learning best. Right now, I don't feel that's being done. I'd also like to provide a quality education to meet the needs of the students. One thing I would like to accomplish on the board is to look at this one-size-fits-all curriculum. They've eliminated a lot of courses so that students are being forced to take certain courses that they're not quite ready for yet, lack some of the skills. They don't have an interest in it, so they don't take ownership of learning in that class. There are other courses that they could take that would meet those requirements, but that the state has mandated. Also, I'd be a strong supporter of the trade schools. I felt that when they closed Connolly, that was a mistake. There's a lot of students who like hands-on activities. They learn with their hands by doing. And I feel that bringing back the trade schools would benefit our students and our city. I understand they're putting forth a career in technical school right now, but from what I understand, it's on hold because of the budget cuts. Okay. Also, I would look into equity and consistency across the district. Right now, there really isn't that much equity or consistency. For example, I teach chemistry. About 2 years ago, they eliminated double periods for labs. And that's very difficult to teach chemistry or do any experiments when you only have 45 minutes to do a lab. That's not enough time. And that's a shame because a lot of students do learn with their hands. They love hands-on activities. And unfortunately, we have to make certain cuts, and that's where it goes. Eliminating those labs where they have those opportunities. But what I understand is some schools still do have those double periods. I don't feel that's fair. Not only that, but within the schools, certain students have those double periods. So there's really not equity across the board. Also, as far as the PRC, that's the Promise Ready Committee, there's not true equity there either across the district. From what I understand, God bless you. From what I understand, some schools, oh, okay, I wasn't aware of that. Some schools were allowed to opt out of that. For what reasons, I'm not sure. Okay. Also, on the board, I like to provide a safe school environment that fosters a collaborative effort among the teachers, the administrators, the parents, and the students. I think we need more transparency on what's going on in the schools, rather than hearing about it on the news for something that happened months ago. I would also like to encourage and foster parent involvement. Seek local school autonomy. Rather than having the government come in and telling us what to do, I feel as a community, we are capable of determining what's best for our students, what's best for our children. And I would also like to strengthen the school board and hold them accountable to the taxpayers as well as the clients, the students and the parents. And with that, I hope you consider me May 17th as your school board representative. Thank you very much.
My name's Sherry Hazuda. I presently represent this district on the Pittsburgh School Board. In December, I was honored by my peers to be elected president of the school board. It's a role I take very seriously, and I spend a lot of time doing this volunteer job. To tell you a little bit about myself, most of you know me from either Brookline Area Community Council meetings that I come to once a year, or from coming to board meetings. But I am a lifelong, since I was 3 or 4 years old, resident of Beechview, grew up there, graduated there. I'm a single parent of 4 children. My children are all graduates of Beechwood Elementary, Brashear High School, and an assortment of middle schools. So that's a little bit about where I come from. I am the Democratic candidate for the Pittsburgh School District number 6. Lisa's the Republican candidate, but we go like the judges, we cross-file. So if you happen to be Republican, you can vote for either of us. If you happen to be Democrat, you can vote for either of us. We cross-file. but I have been endorsed by the Democratic Committee as well as the Pittsburgh Federation of Teachers. My son and 2 daughter-in-laws are school teachers, so I do get some feedback. It is a hard job. I'm impressed that Lisa would be willing to resign her job as a teacher in order to do that. That's impressive. It's very time-consuming. We have some issues right now that are facing the Pittsburgh Public Schools. There's 2 really, really big issues. And if you aren't aware of them, let me give you the opportunity to hear. The first one, as I came in the door, and I was late because we had a public hearing tonight, and we have a really big issue on the east end of town and another really important issue on the north side, and I needed to be there to hear the public testimony because we only give 1 shot a month, and I needed to be there to hear what people were saying to help me make my decision on how to vote on Wednesday night. That's why I'm late. But the 2 issues you need to be concerned about, and Wayne is here, and Chelsea, and I've had conversations, and I know where they are. They're very supportive of us. Dr. Lane, our superintendent, who I was very fortunate to be on the committee, on the board that hired her, because she's excellent. She is in Harrisburg, traveled there this afternoon to speak to them, but they're here tonight, so Wayne will get it from me instead of Dr. Lane. Senate Bill number 1, somebody asked about it as I came in. You know, it starts out low-income children in underachieving schools. But where it ends up in 4 years is all low-income children. Now they're cutting back many of the programs and the money we are getting to educate the average kid and also to support the underachieving kids. But there's nowhere, and that's one of the reasons Senate Bill 1 is solved right now, is because there's nowhere to say, this is how we're going to pay for this massive undertaking in 4 years. That's a really big issue to every taxpayer, not just parents. The second issue is the governor's budget. Now, we heard him running on the platform, he's going to cut back. And that's what he's doing. But what we didn't get was we're talking $34 million to the Pittsburgh Public Schools. We're talking money, because of the way it was slated, that presently pays for 55 preschool classes. 55 in underachieving areas. We're talking a couple $1 million that presently goes to after-school education for kids that need remedial help in math and English. This is what you need to be concerned about. In December, the school board made the commitment that we would not raise taxes for the 10th year in a row. 10 years we have not raised your taxes. And we really want to stand by that. But you know what? It's really hard right now. What we've done is, first of all, Dr. Lane, our superintendent, looked at her own staff and said, you know what? Across the board, each of you chiefs, figure it out. I want a 10% decrease in your budget. And we need to start it now. Our budget, while the state runs July to January, ours runs January to December. So we're actually getting a little bit of jump on it. She didn't want to waste any time. She said, start right now. Even the school board, our budget, I had to come up with, where am I going to cut 10% out of my budget? Okay, because I do have a budget I handle. All right, now, that's the first thing. Second thing, we had $60 million that we had slated for capital repairs. Every time you move a program or do something, it's very expensive. We've pulled that back. We're doing $15 million in repairs. Nothing big, it's all, somebody needs a roof, windows need fixed, whatever. Minimal things to keep our programs operational for our kids. That's not an immediate savings of $45 million, so you can't say, well, there's that $45 million to offset the 34. But what it does, it means there's $45 million we're not going to borrow against next year, okay? What that translates to is about $3.6 million in loans for the next umpteen years that we won't be paying back. So there's your savings there. It's kind of like, at first I thought, when we started talking about it, I thought, oh, we're off the hook. That's not how it works. It just means that much less we'll be borrowing, okay? So there are things, we formed an internal committee that is looking across everything we do to try to say, what do we need to combine, what do we need to change, how do we work more effectively? Because what we need to do, we need to say whatever it looks like. I am sure our representatives are going to get us some money back, but you best be sure we're going to lose. And so how can we service our kids? Because whatever we do, we have to make sure we have made so much positive momentum in the last 6 years in the Pittsburgh Public Schools that we cannot afford to lose. We can't afford to lose it. So we have to keep our reform efforts going. We have to keep our efforts for student achievement, increasing that going. There's so many positive steps. We can't lose it. We owe it to our kids that they deserve a good education, and we have to figure out how to do it, but more cost effectively, and we know that. A committee's been formed. They are looking at every part to try to figure out where can you tweak? What can you change? What can you... And actually, there was a man who used to teach carpentry in the Pittsburgh Public Schools that came up with an excellent suggestion at the public hearing tonight, and Shireen Shealy, sitting next to me, leaned over and said, that in itself was worth coming out tonight. What a great idea. So you never know where your great ideas are going to come from, but everything's open. Everything has to be reviewed. I think I'm trying to talk fast, but I guess my time's up. Okay. That's it. That's it. We're trying. We are trying really hard. It is a lot of work. And I hope I have your vote and your support.
Okay, how about you guys want to stand and then take these questions?